Thank you for taking the time with us today. We're really excited because today we're going to take a sneak peek inside our Meg community via Slack. So it's one of our newest features that we've added, and it has been absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to kind of show you some of the features that come along with it. So before we get ahead of ourselves, I would like to first introduce myself. I'm Nicole Walzak. I'm the Chief Development Officer of Meg Academy. Then we have Mr. Brian Gallagher, who is the founder of Meg.
Yes.
And we have the absolute pleasure, one of my favorites, Ali Ferrara, who is with us today. She is the billing manager at Meg and is a genius and whiz at all things billing and collections. So she is an awesome addition to our team today. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep dive into some of our most frequently asked questions and some of our most poignant questions that we get from our Meg Slack channel. And just to kind of give you some insight on what this is all about, I'm going to have Matthew share with us that screen that has the Meg, let's just do the introduction page so that I can describe a little bit what Slack is. Slack is an internal communication system that we have adopted within Meg to talk to our team members, but we saw that it worked so well that we decided to use this platform to help our clinic owners that are scattered throughout the country have access to us as coaches and billing experts and compliance experts, as well as this community of individuals throughout the country that, we consider our clients to be a part of that top 10%. So with that said, you can see the Slack channel up on the screen, and to the left-hand side, you'll notice all the different channels. So we have our welcome channel. Oh, Matthew, that's a beautiful circle there. We have our welcome channel that helps explain how to use Slack if you're not familiar with this platform. We have our introduction channel, which is highlighted here, and we kind of blocked out any identifying information so that you can see how people kind of introduce themselves. And what I want to draw your attention to is that upper right-hand corner is that number 167. That's how many people that we have within this community. So again, at your fingertips, you have, the Meg experts, but also clinic owners all throughout the country that are seeing your questions, weighing in on your questions, things of that nature. So beyond that, and I'll have you share, Matthew, next, the announcement page, because the announcements are where we house our internal coaching. So we provide monthly internal coaching to Meg clients only. And what they get access to there are any relevant topics that we've had to deal with as coaches that come up that require more of a dialogue, that require more of a training session versus just submitting a one-off question on various topics. So you can see that, this one that we just did was back in July. We have our August one coming up, which is going to be on succession planning. So, again, it's all topics that have been brought to our attention as needing more training on by our clients. And then you can see as we go down the rest of the channels, we have the billing and collections channel, the CEO and executive channel, company structure, and so on and so forth. So we've divided up into specific topics so that when you enter a question specific to marketing, you're going to have conversations that are all relevant to marketing or personnel management if you put it in the personnel management channel. And then again, that appropriate expert can kind of weigh in on any answers. So you can see this one highlights personnel management. These are all personnel management related questions. And you can notice like that top tier one that you can't see quite all the question, but Brian weighed in, Jen weighed in, some other clients weighed in. So you're getting some insights from multiple different people that are jumping in and participating. And that really was what we were hoping when we kind of launched this. And this is, I'm going to give kudos to Matthew because this is Matthew's mastermind idea. So what we were hoping to do is when you purchase a Meg membership, you're not only purchasing, a video library, which we have excellent training within our video library, but you're joining a community of other like-minded individuals. And that really was our goal, is to be a more fluid training platform so that we can keep you current, keep you up to date, keep you abreast of all the changes that come our way, especially, within the last couple of years. We've had to really be on our toes and be cutting edge. So that is the whole concept behind it. And with that said, we've really lowered the barrier to enter into the MEG community in terms of, having different options of programs that you can purchase. So we're really excited about that and are adding it to our website. So if you want to learn more about that, please reach out to us, and Matthew will put up a link, and we can talk you through what some of the options are in terms of the custom programs that we have available. So I know that was very long-winded, but I do think it was important to explain that, how Slack works, in order to really understand the value of it. So from there, what I have done is I have chosen some questions from some of our top channels. And what I want to do is I'm going to have Brian and Allie and myself and Matthew, if you want to weigh in too, on answering these questions live, so that you can kind of see, what valuable information you would get should you submit a question on the Slack channel. So first question comes from the CEO and executive channel. And I'm just going to read this off. So Brian, this one's geared at you. Get
Nicole, before you read the question, I just wanted to say,
that was the longest you've let me talk.
I know.
I kept waiting for him to jump in.
I know. And I was like reaching for the mic like every 5th second. And I was like, oh no. I want to say that was a great introduction. And I think you explained it really well. And I think Matthew really was the brainchild behind putting this together. And I just want to say, for those of you who are not MEG Academy members and looking to come in, and you're thinking, oh, this is a membership. I said, no, this is a community. So don't get hooked on this idea of it's a membership. Because when I think memberships, I'm like, oh, it's the thing I got to keep paying forever. It's not the point. The point was, we have content, and flying around for 10 plus years training people, I knew that in time they'd have new staff, they'd have turnover staff, and data would change. How could they possibly be kept up to date with the relevant data from what they just bought years down the road? And now this has actually solved that problem. So this enables you to not have to pay more money to stay up to date and keep getting new content and new up-to-date materials. So I wanted to say that, like, I just want to frame it. Like, I know how Nicole explained it, but for me, I kind of picture going back to my high school and going down that high school hallway, and there's all those doors and there are all these different classes. That's what the Slack channel is, per se. There are rooms. There's a marketing room, a billing room, a CEO room, all these different rooms, and you go in the rooms and there's all these other like-minded people who are all wrestling with similar challenges in that room that you're all going to benefit from and learn from. And it becomes a working workshop virtually here on our platform. We wanted to be the Google of physical therapy. And I really believe that within our Slack channel community, we really are developing ourselves into the, in essence, Google of physical therapy. There's no question that's ever been posted that we have not been able to get to the answer of, to the bottom of, and answer it for you, whether it be through our community or through our resources. And that is just one added value for the training that you take when you come on to MEG Academy and you get the gold plan, platinum plan. We're going to show you the screen of our new website and how that looks down the road. But let's get you some real mass on how the actual environment works and how the actual reality is inside the Slack rooms, inside the Slack channels. I like to think of them as rooms because people in that room are talking about that topic. So Nicole's going to pull something from our CEO and executive room and shoot.
He does such a better job of like painting the picture, doesn't he?
That's not true. You paint the best paintings.
PT private practice.
Nicole, you did great.
You did great. You did great. I just think of it as rooms. I just wanted to, in case somebody else thought of it.
I can visualize it, and you're right.
Yeah,
I'm not being critical. I think that's amazing. Okay. So question 1 in the CEO room, it's regarding collections and how to set targets. As I am working my way through the business strategic plan, I have goals for GI and NET and a host of other things. However, I am a bit unsure of what my collections targets should be based on my GI goals, patient visits, goals, etc. is there a nice, neat formula or way to know that if your GI goal is X dollars, your collections should be Y dollars? So I feel like Allie and Brian can both hop in on this.
Allie, what's your take?
She's like, no, it's not my turn yet.
I'm waiting for you.
All right, good. My take at Allie, that was a punt, and I love that. So yeah, this is definitely my room. This is a room that I like to hang out in, and in this room, I would start off by saying, I'll answer this very quickly. I would say, look at your last year's GI. Okay, so let's say you finished last year at $1 million in gross income, total dollars collected. Not net, just dollars collected, total dollars that came in the door. If you have $1 million that came in the door, you want to have a 15% growth. So you're going to multiply that 15% times that GI. Well, you want to see your net return go up by 15% or greater. Obviously, more gross income, you should be able to at least hit that net, if not more. If you're actually doing more economy of scale, you can actually get greater net, right? So know what your 15% bump up is for the upcoming year. Know what the collections need to be annually to meet that bump up. Divide that out per month. So now you know what those numbers need to be per month. What's my GI per month? What's my actual net need to be per month if you're setting a net target. Now you have those two targets. Now you're going to divide that by the collections per visit, right? You divide that by collection and it's going to tell you how many visits. Now, as a CEO, I say, whoa, okay, if I can add another income vertical, another service, I can get greater GI, thus greater net without much more overhead because I'm tucking another income vertical service inside the umbrella of my 4 walls. Just because I added another service doesn't mean my rent goes up. So start thinking operationally. So my advice is to wrap up this question, go globally. What was my last year? What's my 15% growth? Break it down so that I know what my GI 15% growth is. I know what my net growth is, divide it by the income per visit. Now I know what my visits are. Now I look at it and say, what could I operationally tuck in that I believe in that's on my purpose lines that I could drive into this business within those 4 walls to get greater economy of scale, thus increasing my net probably with the same amount of production.
Yeah, no, I think that's very well said. And I think part of what's wrapped into this question, and Allie, I would love for you to weigh in just, and you know, I know you see all these billing numbers and production dollars billed out and collections in. What should they be shooting for in terms of like a collections ratio? Like what, you know, dollars billed out versus collections in, what are we seeing across the board?
So it really varies depending on what they have their fee schedule set at. But we always aim for somewhere between 40 and 50%. So if we see that your collection ratio is low, then there's either an issue with the payer or something else might be going on, or your fee schedule could be set too high. If it's above the 50% mark, then your fee schedule might be set too low.
Yes, no, I think that's very good insight. And if you guys are having questions about that, I kind of didn't, you know, talk about this in the announcements, but, you know, we do a free billing assessment. When I say we, I mean her. She does wherever she is that way. So please, Matthew will put that form up. Please have that checked, and she will tell you, because there are clients that have submitted that and they're doing a great job. And she will say, keep doing what you're doing. It's working. It's great. But if not, we can provide some solutions as to, you know, what you want to look into to get things that are off corrected. She does a great job on that. So
I think that's a very important point. Like, people can count on that. We're going to give you an honest answer. Mm-hmm. So if you take advantage of that free billing assessment, which you absolutely should, it's free. And if Allie sees and deems that everything's going great, she's going to give you a couple of tips and send you on your way and say, don't change a thing. But if there's some real, you know, problems brewing, we're going to see it quickly and we're going to know how to strategize on how to solve it. That's one thing about being a billing service company. I wish, you know, when I had my PT practice, I wish I outsourced my billing to a PT owned, operated billing service company like ours, because the beautiful thing is you only pay for what you use. Versus when I had my own internal billing department, I was paying for it, whether I was using it or not, whether it was a vacation or not, whether there was a snow day or no snow day or hot summers or up or down. You're paying for it 24/7. With our services, you're really paying for the high quality, laser focused services that you use. So I always feel that's very relevant to say, and Allie's assessments are very good.
Great. Okay, our second CEO question. Can you please remind us of the formula used to calculate how much money we should keep in reserve? Is this a percentage or multiple of payroll?
This one's quick. This is 10-second answer. First, you want to make enough money to set aside 1 month's worth of operating expenses. So between your payroll, your rent, your bills, if it comes out to, it takes me $35,000 to keep my doors open per month, between all that, then by all means, open up a money market account and stockpile $35,000 there. Okay. Keep 1 month of operating expenses, kind of like your backup money, right? From there, once you get that packed in there, from there, you decide based on the healthiness of your company, a minimum of 1%, a maximum of 3% of GI, not net, GI, gross income coming in the door every single week goes into that money market account. Okay. If in fact you have shortages on any week, you could just simply pull from there and shore up your shortages. But you should never fall below that 35,000 per month. That's 1 month of operating expenses. And you should always piece off 1 to 3% into your reserve account every single month.
Okay. And what happens if that grows too big? You know, how do we talk about, you know?
Okay. So what's too big, first of all, right? So to me, too big would be 2 months worth of expenses, right? So if it was 35,000, now you got 70,000 sitting in cash, and now you're seeing it's getting to 80, 85, 90, 95,000. I mean, this is a hard thing for Nicole's household to stay on top of, because it just kind of, the dump trucks just keep coming in. She doesn't have enough room to store all the cash. She's thinking about building another barn. So that's why she asked that question. Like, what do I do when the dump trucks just keep coming in with the money?
My money tree just got taken out by a tornado. I don't know.
So if you have 2 months worth of income, then you should take distributions of those funds, bring it out of the company. So it's off the corporate veil. You've separated your personal money from your business money, and now it's protected in your personal. Now, remember, for every dollar you take out, you got to set aside a rule of thumb, 1/3 for taxes. You owe taxes on that money. It's not like, you know, your paycheck where we're taking it out for you. So you're going to have to set aside 1/3. So if you take out $100, set aside $33 in for taxes, because you're going to need it at the end of the year. But the rest of that money is all free and clear. You know, if you have 13 kids like Nicole, just put it in the college funds and you're fine. You got tons of money to stack away. So whatever it may be that you need it for, but take it out of the business. Don't let it sit in the business.
Yeah. So I think that's very good advice.
Yeah. Yeah. And she doesn't have 13 kids.
Or a dump truck of money. So.
I left that one.
Yeah, I know. Okay, moving on to scaling and expansion, our scaling and expansion channel. So the question is, I am interested in discussing incentive structure for clinic directors. We have been fortunate to hire and groom talented therapists in preparation for expansion, but need to fully determine what the appropriate compensation package looks like to keep them engaged and committed to our company goals. What percentage of ownership is industry standard? What does the buy-in look like?
Oh, that's a really great question. Hey, before I answer it, I just want to invite everybody who's watching and listening to us. We like to have a lot of fun, so I hope you're laughing along with us. Ask questions. Like, this is a great time. This is meant to be a dialogue. By all means, ask us questions. Don't be shy. Just write it in the chat box. Matt will let us know and he'll read it to us.
Can Nicole, I target that? Can I try?
I was going to kick it to you. I was going to say, Nicole, do you want to like start this one? That's exactly what I was going to say.
As a former clinical director.
Yes, go for it.
I feel like I can answer it. So we've actually started to build this out, and I have a pilot out to a couple different clinics. But the idea is what we have to look at, what is the responsibility of the clinical director? And in my mind, their main purpose and their main goal is to keep their clinicians highly productive and highly efficient. So what I recommend doing is that you bonus them on the success of their juniors and making sure they're hitting their numbers. Because what we were finding with like the previous bonus structure, in many clinics, we would get feedback saying like, well, okay, I'm paying big bonus dollars for my world beaters, my clinical directors that are hitting it out of the park and being incredibly efficient, and I'm delivering a lot of dollars their way. But then, you know, we have people that are cruising along at, you know, 70% efficiency or 75% efficiency. So that doesn't make sense. That's not helping the clinic out. So what we've done is that we've attached the what do we call it? The qualifier that they have to be at 85% efficient, which is that target, in order for them to start getting bonused on the clinic, you know, the entire clinic's efficiency standards. So that's how I would recommend doing it, is having it be a qualifier where each one of the clinicians that fall under that clinical director are hitting their target numbers, whatever you determine them to be, before you start, handing out bonuses for the clinical director.
So how would they be bonus, Nicole? How would you assess the financial compensation on that in that model?
So I created a grid to track that. So it would be based on
of course,
value points above, them hitting those numbers, those targeted numbers. And let's say, the clinic's efficiency numbers are 10 value points above. And if you price it out at $10 a value point, that would be $100, just for simple number sake, it's $25. So you can determine what that's going to be. You guys, it's all numbers. You have to figure out what numbers make sense. And if you can keep in mind that, your ROI per clinician should be around that 3.5 to 4, and pad those numbers in there, then you have to determine what the right dollar amount is going to be for your practice, because it's going to be different based on your collections per visit and where you're at in the country and things of that nature, and how you schedule. There's some people that we have scheduling on the 45-minute schedule. There's some people that are scheduling on the, every half hour. So it's a matter of just running the numbers, and we help you with that. In fact, many of our grids will have actually not many of them. Our stack grids come with like a calculator. So you can figure out what numbers work for you.
It's all built in. Mm-hmm. So that's a great answer. And I hope everybody's tracking with Nicole. I know she's highly intelligent, so you got to concentrate when she's talking, because it just moves along. I look at this question in a simple 3-point answer. The very first thing I got out of this question is, it sounded a lot to me like you were asking about, like, how do I put a clinical director into my organization as a percent of ownership? Percent of ownership sounds a lot like partnership to me, and I would never recommend partners. Do not recommend partners for a multitude of reasons. And if you want to know more, just kind of reach in. We'll have a one-on-one conversation so I can specifically answer it for you. But there's way more reasons not to do partners than there ever will be to do partners. So kind of stay away from that. I do love the value point system. I think the value point system is a wonderful system, because you can get bonused on your value points. You can get a piece of the action of other people's value points based on the qualifier, like Nicole said, which is brilliant, because it's not like, hey, I've got 5 therapists, 3 of them are knocking it out of the park, and I'm getting bonus, but I'm letting 2 slugs. I shouldn't say that. I'm letting 2 people skate by underperforming, but yet I'm still getting a bonus. Well, that's not real good clinical director management at all. You're letting some people fail on your team, right? So Nicole really had a solid answer for that. And of course, stepping number 3 bullet point to this thing, I guess there's 4 because I got one more say. Number 3 would be like pay for performance model, right? If we just go for pay for performance all across the board, wouldn't you agree, Nicole? If we just literally got rid of salaried and hourly and all this stuff and just went pay for performance, which is the king of the crop answer here, I think everyone's going to be really well rewarded. And then I think you can shower that down all across the spectrum so that the clinical director is appropriately being compensated for the performance of the clinic, not just the performance of their schedule. Now, one last point. If you move up in this area of bonusing clinical director, I don't know if you're listening right now and you have 1 office or if you have 4 offices. That does differ, because you want people to be contributing to the success of the company. As you transition people into partnership or buyout, succession, or something like that, you want to gradually move them into a role of ownership. Now, in that case, I see that as a different thing. It's a succession plan. Everybody's on the same page. One person's moving out, the other person's moving in, and we're just making this like good for all, right? So in that case, I would go from value point bonusing to a shadow stock profit share to an ultimate buy-in to the company and changing of stock and lawyers and membership interest. Okay. So I don't want to send a message like that's never going to happen. Yeah. It should be value point bonus pay, profit sharing, shadow stock, transitioning into full allocation of stock. And then ultimately you're bought out. Yeah, if that's the road you go.
Topic actually that we're talking about in our internal coaching.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. I think that's very well said. Okay. One more question in the scaling and expansion channel. And Brian, this is going to go to you because you have all the experience with the SNFs. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
currently trying to expand services into another niche area. Any suggestions on how to obtain a provider contract for nursing homes? Any insights would be greatly appreciated.
All right, really quick. I would simply say this first. This is what worries me about a question like that. Are you pursuing this business income vertical because it's your passion, your love, your purpose, and it was part of your business strat plan? I mean, gotta ask yourself that. Or are you going into this because somebody knocked on your door and said, hey, we got this need. Would you be interested in filling it? Well, now you're going to be wearing their condition. Now you're going to be wearing their problem. There's no guarantee that you're going to be any better at it than they are, right? This happens all the time. I call it playing other people's games. If you like getting into playing other people's games, by all means, go give it a shot. My experience in 29 years of doing this, it peters out. It becomes not fun. You become extremely frustrated. It's not what you're good at. It's not what you wanted to do. If somebody asked you what you want to do next, would this be the thing you pick? So first, get that question answered honestly, sober. Look at your spouse, kick it around, because they know you best and they can tell if you're being true to yourself sometimes. So just kind of ask that. If it is, and you're like, no, I was totally planning on going into skilled nursing facility work. I've got these 2 clinics. I was totally thinking about Medicare, the game, right? All right. If you're totally thinking about that, then you need to get a contract with a nursing home for that. If you're going to do that, you have to sit down with the nursing home and say, hey, I need to do a staffing contract with you. I don't want to get tied up in your regs. I don't want to get tied up in your rugs. I don't want to get tied up in your bureaucracy and your meetings. Let your staff do the team meetings and all this stuff. Believe me, I had 6 nursing homes I ran the rehab departments on. Don't get into all that. You're going to send a workhorse who's going to be well rewarded. They're your person. They're your benefited person. And you must make $20 per hour over cost. And that's a big nugget here for all you guys listening. If you can staff with a staffing contract in a nursing home, flat out, hey, if it was Nicole, she cost me $750 an hour. I need to get paid $770 an hour to make this staffing contract work, right? So you just, whatever your therapist is, if your therapist is $40 an hour, add 20, it's $60 an hour. It's how many hours they worked times that. That's the invoice you're going to get every month. You're going to pay me that invoice in 30 days. In 30 days. Do not let these nursing homes drag you out 45, 60 days. So I'm just throwing kind of successful actions from my past into it. So even that, you're paying payroll for a month and then you're waiting a whole month to get paid. But once the cycle starts going, it kind of catches up and you're doing fine.
Okay, good. All right. The next channel we're going to cover is recruiting and hiring, and then we're going to jump into billing and collections. Allie, thank you for being so patient. So the first question is, we are hiring a new PT and posted the position on LinkedIn already. What other platforms have you all had success with? And this one is not necessarily for Brian to rattle off.
No, not for me.
What I like about this question is, we do get engagement from people who are actively recruiting. And now more than ever, I think it's been a very challenging process just because there is a shortage of therapists who are available. But Brian, I do want you to share some of the successful actions that you have mentioned that maybe people like wouldn't be top of mind to think of. And one of those being in like the lower reimbursing states and advertising there, because sometimes you can pull talent from, outside of New York or, New Jersey or, somewhere that has a trouble with the reimbursement and get them to move out of state. So
yeah, I think you're right, Nicole. I tease Nicole. Everybody hears me tease Nicole about, children, money, and Wisconsin, right? So those are my 3 big things with Nicole. But in all honesty, I'm wearing my Oshkosh shirt. I spent almost a week in Wisconsin. It's a beautiful state, and I think today, I think this is recorded, right? I should be careful. I think today there's mass migration going on. And I think that mass migration could benefit some and hurt others. It's just the truth. I think if you're living in Florida, like where I live, mass migration is very helpful to us right now. People are finding some really good talent and enticing them to come down. And Nicole's right. Where are you running your Indeed ad, right? The question is all about like, where do I go to look to find good people, right? I put the post on LinkedIn. Well, did you put it on Indeed? Did you put it on ZipRecruiter? Did you put it on the college boards of the colleges, universities in the lower income, lower reimbursed states. Buffalo's got like 5 PT schools in it or something like that. And it's one of the lowest reimbursed areas of the country. So post on those college bulletin boards, post on those, what is it called? The human development, I don't know, departments or whatever for the college kids. So post there, post in the state of New York's APTA job sites and entice people to come off. Always post your ads with a question, because people always want to answer the question. If I ask Allie, do you know how much money Nicole makes? Allie's gonna be like, no, I don't. How much is it? And she's gonna want to know, right? So things like that, like really it's human nature to want to answer a question. So be smart with your ads. I mean, for those of you who are in Meg Academy, we have sample ads that we found work the best around the country, but Nicole's just touched on several good topics. Be aware of the migration, advertise in the lower reimbursed areas of the country, hit the schools in those areas, hit the state chapters in those areas, and definitely go national. Indeed, LinkedIn, and ZipRecruiter.
And I always recommend establishing like a clinical rotation, be a clinical instructor. It's good for us to give back to our PT community, but then it also gives others exposure to, your practice and your processes and all that. And we hear oftentimes, people will stick as employees if they've rotated through.
Well, you've built a pipeline, right? You've built a learning pipeline, and people are like, wow, you really enhanced me as a therapist. Of course I want to work here. So if you haven't built a internship pipeline, a residency pipeline, definitely by all means look into it.
Agreed. Okay. Question 2, with a tight labor market, we are seeing a need to go above our wage band for our front office staff position. What is the best for wage adjustment, if any, for our current staff?
Allie, I'm an inclusionary person here, Nicole. Allie, are you
have the whole?
I'm sorry. It's just me doing it. I'm leading the inclusion on this. It's too late. I've already stepped into it. Allie, are you experiencing similar things, because you have staff of like 50 plus people underneath you, and you're constantly looking for the best, brightest billing talent? What is your take on this idea? I mean, let's look at this question from more of a non-licensed, non-clinician position. Like, what do you think?
As far as the hiring,
are you agreeing?
Yeah, we are definitely in our billing department. We are definitely it's getting a lot better within the last few weeks, but I would say probably 2 or 3 months ago, we would have a lot of people that would apply, but then not a lot of people who would show up to interviews, who would even show up to their first day of work. It's been a struggle.
Now we're coming out of it. Things are starting to normalize. What did you attribute to that dysfunction? Just your opinion. There's no wrong answer. Just your gut.
Honestly, I think it was a change in unemployment scenarios.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah, I think so too. I know the politics of this, and I know depending on what news channel you look at, they like to say, no, that had nothing to do with it. And others are like, the fact of the matter is, we, more than anybody else, are touched with more small business owners around this country. I mean, that's all we do, right? And I can tell you, those policies, I'm not going red, blue, whatever, cut the politics. Those policies were counterproductive to the ability for small business owners to increase the productivity and efficiency and increase the wealth giving back to the people in their community through good jobs, through good employment. And frankly, it just kind of caught like wildfire. It became an attitude to collect more money than you would make working. Very common sense vision here. It doesn't take heart. It's not a big leap to apply your common sense and see what percentage of people are going to sit home if they're getting paid more to sit home than to work, right? So for me, that's very just fact. There's just way too much evidence of that. I think that's falling off. More and more states are getting rid of that. That's falling off. People are coming back. And there's another factor here too. I think if we go way back a lot of women were disproportionately disadvantaged because their children were home, their kids are home, and they couldn't take a common wage job, even if it was fair market. Who's going to be with the kids? Who's going to make sure they're glued to Zoom? I mean, Nicole had a great idea. She stuck Velcro on the monitor, and then she Velcroed their kids' heads to the thing. It was awesome. Like, they couldn't get away. They had to sit and watch their training. So, not every parent's willing to do that. But so I think I felt for the, you know, the moms of our country during that time, but we're not in those times now. Those times are not the way, it's not the way it is right now. So let me say this. I don't think throwing heavy cash and bigger cash at people to get them to work is the answer. I don't think pushing big, huge bonus sign-ons is the answer. I do think what you should do is look at the fact that the market has tightened. If it was $15 an hour for front desk coordinator, it might be $16, $16.50. If an office manager was $18 or $19 or $20, it might be $21, $22. So I do think a mild bump up in pay, because the best people are not going to sit home the longest. The people who want to sit home on the free ride the longest probably aren't the people you want to hire anyways. So get the early people who are entering the market by bumping up moderately, $1 or $2, bring them in, because I believe the better you're able to communicate that you have a position where someone's going to grow both personally and professionally, you're going to be successful bringing in good people. And I think Allie's held to her guns and been like, hey, if we got to go short and keep an empty chair until it's filled with the right person, I'd rather wait for the right person. I think when you do that at home, if that's how you run your practice, that integrity is going to be felt by your organization, and you're going to strengthen your company culture. Don't just be so worried about the new people you want to bring in. Be worried about the image you're sending to your existing people. If you look desperate and you start throwing, money all around, it's not a good sign to your existing staff about what you believe in.
Well, here's the other thing. I think a pay for performance model.
Oh, good idea.
The front desk is in order too. And that's actually in development. We're working on it. And we've actually worked with one of our cash-based practices to develop one for her already. But it is something I think that becomes critical, because we should hold every post within our company accountable for their performance, and we should reward people that go above and beyond and hit their metrics. So that's something that I think is another way to incentivize people and get people on board who have that kind of go-getter mindset and want to kind of shoot for the stars kind of thing.
Yeah. And I don't know if Allie knows, but I had a long conversation with Allison, one of our billers, and she gave me a lot of food for thought on how to build a better front desk retention and attraction program to hire people. I've got all my notes. I just haven't finished the program. I started typing it up. Nicole just keeps giving me more work to do. But as soon as I get a chance, I really loved and appreciated my time with Allison. She gave me some really good insight, and that's the benefit of our company. We can share from each other's experiences.
Okay, very good.
Allie's channel. Allie's room.
Billing and collection. Now, Brian.
Did you see what she just did there, guys? It was like this,
I hushed him.
You.
No, you got to ghost away, Brian. Like the meme.
Oh yeah, it's so much better. Okay, so it's Allie's turn, and it goes like this.
Oh, it's so much quieter in here. Okay, billing and collections.
I hope everybody knows I'm way outnumbered in terms of male to female ratio in my company. It's like,
what happened?
Allie's like, this is really freaky.
Okay.
All right, Allie.
I am curious about the ethics of charging an office copay based on patient's insurance to bring the visit collection to a standard amount across the board. For example, if I decide $88 and Cigna reimburses a flat rate of $73, could I charge $15 copay per visit? And if another carrier reimburses $78, then it would be a $10 copay per visit. Is that allowed?
If you are contracted with that insurance company, no, absolutely not. You must charge exactly what is indicated on the EOB. And then if you can find out what that amount is going to be by verifying your patient's benefits before their visit.
Okay.
If you are out of network, though, that's a different story. You don't have a contract with that insurance company. I have a lot of providers who set like a flat rate. Maybe they charge $150 for a treatment session, and then they bill the insurance as a courtesy to the patient. The insurance reimburses them, and they charge the difference to get up to that $150 rate. That's allowed, as long as you keep it standard across the board for all patients.
Okay, that makes sense. So what if you're in process of getting credentialed? Let's say you have a new startup, they're in the process. How does that work?
It would depend if they were going to backdate your application. So if they're backdating your application, you're holding all billing anyway. So you should collect from the patient as if they were an in-network patient. If
Sure.
they are not going to backdate and you're going to bill out of network, you can follow the out of network scenario.
Okay. And the reverse is true too. If there is a $20 copay, you know, you must collect.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be routinely waiving patient balances unless there's some sort of financial hardship, and you want to make sure you set the same policy for everybody.
Yeah, and have the documentation to back it up.
Correct.
Okay, good. All right. She's so much more like
to the point.
Thank you.
I practice my answers.
He looks like he's in timeout.
Thank you, Nicole. I do have a question about that though. What if it's a federally funded program, Allie? How does that work if it's TRICARE, Medicaid, or Medicare?
You would still follow. So Medicaid patient, I mean, there are some state Medicaids that do charge patient copays. Some of them charge like the patient $1 copay, $4 copay, whatever the case may be. You do collect the same way you would for commercial insurance because you do have contracts with those insurance companies.
But what if somebody says, well, I'm out of network with TRICARE, Medicaid, Medicare. I don't bill Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE, but I'm seeing those patients.
Oh, then you can bill TRICARE out of network and you would follow the out of network scenario. Medicare and Medicaid, you cannot bill out of network.
No. Okay. I think people needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Yep. Good. Over to you, Nicole.
When you're offering those cash-based services, you know. Okay.
Yep.
And if you have questions, which we'll get to the compliance workspace, and we don't have Daniel Hirsch on today, but I did run it by him that we were going to cover one of his questions. But you know, if there's any questions, can have a free consultation with Daniel Hirsch because he is.
Well, for sure. If you guys have any questions on this compliance stuff, and let me tell you, man, the enforcement is out full bore right now. I mean, if there's ever been a time to be, and I'm not a fear monger, worry person, but I am fielding these things every single week. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a bullseye on our back right now. If you step out of line, they're just looking to.
Right.
I mean, look, the government's bankrupt. They're going to assess fines, fees, and penalties on us any way they can. You know, here's another thing that we see all the time, Nicole. People saying, well, I'm out of network with Medicare. You're going to like this, Allie. I'm out of network with Medicare, Medicaid, or TRICARE. Like I didn't enroll, I didn't sign up, I don't bill them. And they're like, but I see their patients. But Brian, I see them and I'm just charging them cash for coming in because it's wellness, or we're treating them through Pilates. I'm using Pilates equipment, or you know, it's personal fitness training. We're just being like trainers. And I'm like, whoa. You're a licensed physical therapist providing your educational trained skill set to that patient, whether it be through intellect, through direction, verbal cues, or hands-on. I don't care what equipment you're using. I don't care what lipstick you put on that. You're a licensed therapist. You can't hide behind, I'm doing wellness or I'm doing training. You're doing therapy. There's no escaping the fact you have a license. That is providing therapy to a federally funded person. Are we all everybody sees that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we get that all the time. And they're like, oh, no. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yes. That's fraud.
And if you do create a wellness program, well, or like it's got to be fitness, because wellness, there's like maintenance for Medicare. That's
if we're with Medicare and we're billing it, sure.
Yeah. But if there's something separate like fitness, it's got to be really airtight, well designed, you know, well spelled out, policy on it, all that stuff. And again, you know, that is some of the conversation that some of our clients have had with Daniel Hirsch. He helps walk you through the appropriate steps you need to take. If that's something that you want to do.
Now, if it's a non-licensed therapist doing it,
right,
a Pilates instructor or a personal fitness trainer who's not carrying a PT license, you're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Cash-based services.
Somehow we got away from Allie, but it's okay.
It's okay.
Okay. Question 2, Allie. We are running into several Medicare denials due to active home health episodes. We provide contract home health services and outpatient services, so patients transition frequently to us. We obtain a discharge date from the home health care company, but still are having denials. Any thoughts or processes that are successful for you guys?
Well, so this one is a tough one, but The key here is to check that discharge date against what Medicare has on file before the patient is seen. So when you log onto your Medicare portal, to the provider portal, you can type in the patient's ID number, their date of birth, their name, and it tells you everything about the home health episode. So you want to log in, you want to make sure that the home health episode, the discharge date doesn't overlap with any of their outpatient PT dates. And then if it does, then you want to contact that home health agency and verify what their records say. And then if their records do not match Medicare, they then have to contact Medicare to get it updated. It's a long process, and getting those home health agencies to actually do that can be difficult.
Sure.
But that's really the only workaround. If they don't update their dates with Medicare, you don't get paid.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, good. All right, I did want to, if there's no other questions live that we want to field here, we're happy to do so. Please just submit in the chat. But I did want to feature the compliance workspace, because this is one of our newer Slack launches. When Matthew showed you the Slack channels, that was our Meg Academy mastermind group. We have a completely separate workspace that is all specific to compliance. So if you purchase the compliance program as one of the packages or as an a la carte purchase, then you get access to that platform. And Daniel Hirsch is the one that kind of heads that up. He regularly posts any updates that need to be, you need to be aware of. For example, there was the latest one was the COVID long haulers, with something relevant to that. So it's kind of like information that you should be accessing that you may not know you should be accessing. He provides you with that information, as well as any questions that you might have. So we had a question recently about incident reporting. So I wanted to just read you what the question was and then what Daniel's answer was, because I think it was a very relevant question, probably to many, of our clients or, public per se. So the question on incident reporting. So if an incident occurs, we fill out an incident report. The fact that an incident report is filled out is not included in the patient record. Some details of what happened would be included on the note, but perhaps not all the follow-up and internal procedures that went on. So 2 examples. If you have a patient that falls off a Therabol, complains of right hip pain, the fact that the patient fell off would be included in the note, and the patient had hip pain would be included in how we responded with ice, etc. that day. We also might include specific patient comments from subsequent visits, but not long-term follow-up or facility follow-up specific to that report. Does this sound correct? So that's the setting the stage. That's the scenario of what happened. There's an example 2, and then I'll get to the answers that Daniel provided. The second example has to do with a loose electrode on an Easton machine, and the patient gets a burn. So the incident report's filled out, the loose electrode and redness would be noted in the record, but site-specific follow-up and internal response of the staff, education, etc., would only be included on the incident report, which is not part of the record. If the patient mentions something subjective in subsequent visits, this might be included as well. If there was a specific objective follow-up that occurred during the subsequent visit, this might be included as well, question mark. For example, measuring the size of the redness area. Does this sound correct? How are people handling this? So setting up the stage, patient falls off the Therabol, hurts their hip. The other one is a burn from an electrode. So the answer that Daniel provided was this. The purpose of an incident report is to capture any event that falls outside of the normal operating procedures. Incident reports are only to be used as an internal reporting system, never to be copied or provided to a patient on request. Attorney-client privilege may also help protect your facility, since incident reports are primarily created for the purpose of liability and risk mitigation when an attorney reviews. Determining what is necessary as part of the daily visit or note can vary as it relates to the individual treatment, but most would agree that one should avoid personal opinions and only record objective feedback, even during a treatment visit with an incident report. So those I thought was a very succinct and good answer to kind of define when you would use an incident report versus when you would, just document inside the note. And again, it's important for that risk mitigation factor. If something were to ever come more of it, you want to make sure you're doing all the necessary steps that you need to take. And having a compliance officer like Daniel Hirsch in your corner to help guide you along the way is just, it's like gold. It's definitely something that we highly recommend you have. And if it's not our compliance program, it's some compliance program to keep yourself protected.
And if you have a compliance program, I always think of it like our approach, obviously we believe in our approach, but by all means, Nicole's right. Find whatever's going to work for you. But our approach is a 3-leaf clover, really. Yeah. It's the virtual web-based training. So you're going to get all the tools and knowledge and enhancement skills you need. It's the role play and the ability to apply what you learn. And then it's the live coaching. I mean, you've got 24/7 Slack channel. You've got 15-minute calls for free anytime you need it to just quickie answers. And then you got undivided attention, an hour at a time. You can buy block hour coaching. So there's no way you're left on your own.
Yeah. And Africa had a question. Africa, this is recorded and you will be receiving it in the form of email after this. So you can access this recording. So if you miss any notes, don't fear. We will be recording it. Matthew, did you raise your hand?
No, I accidentally hit it. Sorry.
Okay. You're giving me a high five?
I saw that high five hit the screen too. I was like, where'd that come from? Who's high fiving us?
On your toes.
Oh boy.
I love what he said about the incident reports. Like it's not meant to be shared with the patient or doctor. It's really just an internal, system of documenting an incident, right? It's not intended to be to support or deny any particular patient's claim. It's for our use. So I don't think many people had that understanding, honestly.
Sure. No, I think it's a really good answer.
It's a good answer.
All right. So that kind of concludes the sneak peek. I think we gave a pretty robust sneak peek, and certainly, we only have limited time, so we could only cover so much. If you have more questions about what's entailed, we're happy to take our time and speak with you about this and what other features you have. Yes, Brian.
I have a question for Allie, because this is a sneak peek into Meg Academy. Allie, what is the most common, if you think about it, what's the most common question, concern, problem, barrier that our owners, from your perspective, because Nicole and I are always doing the training and skill enhancement, but you're managing their accounts and their billing. And so you're very closely connected to their front desk and their front desk operations. Obviously, we go a step further than than any other billing company that I know of with our monthly meetings and trying to enhance and give their error report and coach. But from all the 50 people that are working underneath you plus, many of our owners are struggling at the front desk with particular things that are just difficult. What is the most common kind of things you'd like to share with people? Like we're constantly helping them out with, or we're enlightening them to, or we're helping them through, because it is challenging to run that front desk as it pertains to billing.
Yeah, so with the front desk, it's pretty much all aspects of the front desk: verifying patient benefits, knowing when authorization is required and when it's not, because that can be the deciding factor of whether or not you're going to get paid. Collecting patient balances at the front desk and how to estimate. We always recommend that the front desk tries to estimate how much coinsurance or how much deductible the patient is going to owe for that visit, and attempt to collect right there at the front desk. That way we're not sending a bill later. So the front desk is definitely the lifeline of the clinic. And it's definitely our lifeline in the billing department, making sure those claims get paid, and it all starts there. If something goes wrong there, then it's a domino effect into everything.
And whether that private practice owner is in network, out of network, participating provider, non-participating provider, regardless of what EMR system, for the most part, I mean, we try not to do the bad ones.
We do have a few, we do not, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple bad ones we try to steer clear of. And one came on my lines just recently and he said, oh yeah, your billing company wouldn't take me because I'm in the system. And I said, that's for a reason. And that reason's for your best interest. So you're probably best to start seeking another EMR system for that reason. But yeah, so whether you're in network, out of network, participating, not participating, whatever EMR system minus the bad apples, we're here to help you and support you and help you figure it out, help you put yourself in a better position.
Yeah, and that helps. Hopefully that answers your question, Gail. If you have further questions, please feel free to reach out. But yeah, our billing team does an amazing job because we do have a lot of like crossover clients where they're Meg Academy and billing.
Yeah.
So we get to see all the testimonials, which is like my favorite part of my week. We like blast them out on email to say like, this is what people had to say. And, you know, Allie's name does come up a lot along with all of our other, you know, we hear a lot of names being thrown out because they all do an amazing job over there in the billing department. So good work. Kudos to you guys.
Excellent, right. Nicole. Good show.
So my last little thing, little parting words. I would love to know, Brian, what is one little piece of advice that you can leave our client, or not our clients, our Zoomcast audience with?
Well, my piece of advice would be stay positive, you know, stay positive. There's a lot of negativity going around, I think, and from time to time. And I think there's a lot going on in the news, and you just got to shut it off, everybody. So I'm going to step back and give you some advice that's not so PT related specifically, but you know, people are looking to you for guidance. People are looking for you to be that beacon. We just had our management team meeting here at my place, and I think I was, you know, pretty positive through it all and what we needed to do and how we needed to go about it. And I'm very excited about our people. And you know, life is fun. You know, be positive about it. There's a lot of reasons out there that they're trying to make you feel worse about others, worse about yourself, worse about the environment or the future. You know what? Just don't listen to it. Look, people need our help. We need to enhance the people who provide the help. Better skilled people providing help, more people helped. Really that simple. Play that game, stay on that game. And then for all the specific things that are not PT, like the admin side of things, outsource your billing, outsource your bookkeeping, outsource your legal, outsource your accounting. Let those problematic administrative challenges be a component from an outside force that's going to handle it for you so you don't get dragged down into the muckery of it. If you do that, you keep yourself clean. Now your only job is to help your community, attract more new patients, and enhance your staff and your patients' experiences. And frankly, those are the fun parts of being a therapist.
I forgot to give him a 30-second time frame.
That was 5 seconds.
Okay. Allie, do you have any bit of advice to send off?
Exactly what Brian said. Definitely. You know, contact me for a billing analysis.
There you go.
I really love doing them. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
so my advice, because we're in the vein of like internal communication systems. I mean, communication is, as Brian likes to say, the universal solvent of all problems. So it's like first and foremost and so important here at Meg. We use Slack internally to keep the communication lines open so that we can help take care of all of you guys. And we highly, highly, highly recommend that you implement some system within your clinics to keep those communication lines open as well. So whether it be Slack or something else. And if you want to learn more about how to be a part of this wonderful, awesome community, I would love to speak with you. Brian would love to speak with you. Allie would love to speak with you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We really love hearing about your practice. And if it doesn't, you know, if it's not a match, we're good with that too.
Yeah, sure. Like, no pressure.
I feel like I learn from every practice assessment that I do.
Yep.
So, yeah, please feel free to reach out, and we'd love to learn about you.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Great job, Nicole.
Bye,
everybody.
Thank you.